Wapina malam.
Hey, how you doing, brother? What's up? What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good.
Thanks for thanks for making time to do this. I'm
Okay,
really
thanks for having me.
I was really excited when when the World Music Institute folks asked me to spend some time with you, getting to talk about Gnawa music and the sintir and your career and the huge impact that you've made on the music scene. So, you want to start off with playing some music?
Sure.
Yeah. And would you mind talking about the songs that you play, maybe the spirits that they're associated with, and what part of the Lila ritual that they come from?
Mhm. Well, let's play a song, then we explain the meaning of that song, and then we'll take it from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, radio, 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 salana, Oh yeah, radio, yeah, yeah, radio, yeah, yeah, radio, radio, salana. Oh yeah, yeah.
Beautiful, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. So this song it's called the Hadia. The Hadia is a spirit, a song, spiritual song. Uh, Hadiya comes in from traditions. When you ask meanings, the hadiya, wallahi, ababa means I'm asking for directions. Can you guide me? So it's like a blessing and guidance into some place you want to be. So when you ask for guidance, when you lost and or you want to be directed into a place where you can feel comfortable with your life, you want the hadiya. So meaning you used to be going into the wrong directions in your life, but you want to transfer yourself into a better place. That's called the hadiya. You will get the blessing hadiya to go into that, the new direction of your life.
Mm.
That's the best translations I could give you for this song. This instrument called sintir, that's one of the names. This instrument has 27 names. Every part in Africa, this instrument has a different names. Some country they have two, three, or four, five names. Some two. When you put them all together, it's about around roughly 27 names. So in Morocco, they have seven names for this instrument. So I call it sintir, najhoush, dindan, ginbri, gugu, and a different city in Morocco also has a name for it. One of my favorite words and names for it is sintir, Sintir. It's made out of camel skin. The camel skin is actually the neck of the camel where the voice comes from. That's why this part is there because it have a sound of a voice of the camel sound right there. Body, it's like a carved piece of wood from a tree, and it's carved. When you have a center carved, it's the best center you can have when it's carved. Uh, the tuning pick, you see, this is new. It's not traditionally with the center. This is the one is the original tuning which you can pull to tune up and down. We did this to compete and go faster with the tuning, and that's what it is. And the strings, I'm actually using fishing string instead of gut strings, goat strings. The fishing string has a story when you go into different places. Like for example, I went to a place in Thailand, in a small island, and it was very windy, so all the gut strings just went down. It's like really opened up, and that was before the sound check. So I ran and I got sufficient strings, and I am happy since then. So this been here for almost 10 years or so. I haven't changed them. That's it.
You saved me when I went to the Amazon jungle with my centir, and my gut strings just fell apart. You had given me some of the fishing lines, so that really saved me. Thank.
Yeah, it's good. Um, the fishing strings, it's a lot of them also used for the harps. It's just the harp one. They're good, but they're short. They're not gonna fit this big instrument.
Right,
Even though you see the harp long and stuff, the strings in the harp, they're beautiful, but they're not, long enough for this instrument.
right. Hey, brother. Some people are saying they can't hear you very well. Is it possible you could speak up or get closer to the microphone?
Oh yeah, I could. Well, it's good to see that somebody's listening. So I don't know what they missed, but hi everybody, how are you? Thank you for tuning in and for supporting Wood Music. Just to let you know about Wood Music, it's something that I hold close to my heart dearly. Music Institute has a history with me and my family. They did so much for me for many, 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 many years. Talking about late 80s, So it's over 30 something years, 34, 30 something like that. And they're a big part in my entire family. So just to throw that up. So whatever you can do to support World Music Institutes, please.
So Hassan, would you mind talking a little bit about your history and your background and how you got into the music? I know your mother was leading ceremonies and you started playing when you were 4. Is that right?
Yeah, music, it was in the house, so I didn't look for it. So it was within the family. Uh, my mom's side and my father's side also, as my grandfather is a master violin player, which I didn't know about until late in the years. I'm already in love with the sintir, but I love violin, and I wish I could known it was in the family. I could go a little bit close to it, and yes, we do have one in the house. I'm trying to have my daughter learn and pick up the violin. Somebody in the family, you know.
She's a
But
talented girl.
we'll see what happens. I mean, my kids they play piano, and they're musicians. Have when you have somebody as in your family like your father, your mother, artist, you are have artist without doing anything, just because of your parents. So that's one thing. So when you pick it up, there you go. Uh, so I was born into a family of musicians, and the music was within the family, especially with the music of the Gnawa. Was my mother, the master healer, and she's supported so many masters in Morocco, and has celebrated music and healing for so many others, and by inviting master to come and perform. At the age of 4, as I mentioned, I was very, in tune with the music, and I just don't want to go to sleep or anything. I just want to get close to it, and every day, every night, the music it's there. So there is no. It's like for me an extra homework that you just listen and watch every day. And my entire family, brothers and sisters, we're all into play the santir and sing and dance and chant and do that. So it's
And I read that the your sister Mina was healed from an illness, and that's what really attracted you to becoming to become
yeah,
a malam, and you led your first lila at 14,
yeah.
which is just is crazy for me to think of you doing that at 14. I mean, I was like chasing girls and listening to Led
It's
Zeppelin,
it's
and
interesting. I do have pictures at that age playing, which it's incredible. I had some of it in my Facebook as a kid, and I had like 50, 60, 70-year old Karkaba player playing, by my side. But regarding my sister Mino, she was at the age of 2. She was born 1968. She's younger than me, so 5 year older than her. So I was 7 years old when she got touched by the spirits, meanings where we come from. We don't pour hot water in the sink or wash dishes with hot water. We don't even deal with hot water at night because we respect the spirits. They are, they come in, take over the kitchen, the bathroom, anywhere there is water, they there, and we let them be at night. But my sister was a young girl at 2 years old. She peed at the drain and burned one of their child. That's what they said at that time, the child of the spirit. So they burned my sister back, and her body was like somebody took a cigarette and just made a mark all over her body, look like a strainer, you know. And then my mother, the next day, she invited the masters of the Gnawa, which are different musicians. There's two different kind of music and masters in Morocco. The one that they do the ceremony with this kind of instrument, what they call uh, dardaba, which is lira, and then you have the Berbers, which they do drumming, And so she brought those the Berbers, and they came in and they did some drumming and they sacrificed the goats and put a little blood on that drain and asked for forgiveness for my sister. And then they put my sister's naked as a child inside the goat's skin, shaked it, took her out, and everything disappeared. When I saw that, it was just that was it for me. I said to myself, "This is what I want to do to help others and learn this music." That was it.
Hmm.
That's how I got in to really go forward with
And
helping people.
you learned from the great Hamida Bousso.
Well,
Did you practice with
because
him?
what before I met Hamid Abuso, I worked with a lot of masters within the Marrakesh. Hamid Abuso, he was from Marrakesh originally, but moved to Casablanca years later. I met him during my teenage time. With another master I was working with, a family member, Ahmed Bakbou. I worked with his father, Layeshi Bakbou. And then from the father, I went with the son, Ahmed Bakbou, who's also the teachers of Mustafa Bakbou.
Hmm.
He's the oldest brother who taught his two other brothers, Mustafa Bakbou and Aziz Bakbou. And I was part of that family. And then I started to travel around, and then I got to meet Hamid also. Heard me playing, and he asked me to work with him as a side master. If he got a job, he would send me to another leader by myself and older masters with me. I was too young that the others who work with me, they are a little bit not feeling comfortable with going to work with a young kid,
Yeah.
but they couldn't play the sintir. They couldn't do what I do. So I was the one that the other master Lila women who were doing the ceremony, they would accept me to replace to play instead of Hamida, because Hamida has two, three other jobs at the same day. So he would spread other masters around. I was one of them.
Wow. That's amazing that you were doing that young.
Well, I did really want to learn. I would stay all night playing the Centeer. I didn't even I couldn't afford one, so I made one out of an oil can and the strings of from sugar cane. I put them in. I just start practicing until I got $2 Moroccan money. With $2 American month. At that time, it was a lot of money for me to buy a small, what you can call it, uh, halam. It's the same size you see in Mali. Those are the one that we learn from. The smaller one is before we get to the bigger one, and that's what I had for a while before I got my bigger since here.
And then you moved to New York in, was it 1987?
Yeah, it's about that. I got to actually get my visa in 1986 to get ready to come here, and by that time in the 7 years, I was in New York. I was actually invited to perform for a month at Lincoln Center with a modern dance company and acting, and that's what I did. And after that, I decided to stay in New York for a while. And I started, and the rest is history. I had my first solo show with world music, and I think it was 1980, 87, 88.
I think the first performance I've ever seen of yours was in '89 when you were on Night Music with
Yeah,
Dan Sanborn.
that's a later on after, but world music was first, and then I started playing actually and with the rock bands in Knitting Factory and other clubs around the city. Uh, they not exist anymore, but Wicklands and a lot of beautiful places in Nails, SOVs, and some other places. And then after that, I get to perform at night music with David Semble's show.
So how did you get the idea to combine Gnawa music with everything else, with rock and jazz? I mean, it really seems like you were the first one that was taking Gnawa music and expanding it into other genres. Did you get a lot of pushback for that?
No, as nobody knows what the Gnawa is when I first came in. Not everybody knows what Morocco is. Talking about music. People call this instrument when they first saw it on TV a piece of trade. They didn't know the name. They didn't know nothing about it. But what I thought is, I've started to go to places and clubs, and I see a lot of different kind of African music in clubs and stuff like that. And I've seen, I'd like since I was a kid, I always loved break dancing and hip hop and reggae and funk and stuff like and jazz. And I started to look in club to find musicians that they could actually learn the music from me, and then we can put something together. It took a while before I find drummer and a guitarist who play violin. He's an American Korean guy. He was the first guitarist I worked with, and the drummer is Yuval Gavai, is an Israeli drummer,
Yeah,
Moroccan.
he went on to play with Soul Coughing.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy. And then so many other drummers and musicians and guitarists, and most of all of them they did well. Like the keyboardist, Ital Shore wrote a Smooth for Santana, and they won 12 Grammys, and another guy who played with the what is it, the red something. They're from England, red something, red rock and roll band.
Simply Red.
Sampler Red, yes. Actually, they came to see me open for Peter Gabriel, and they want my guitar player. So, and then I got the bass player who played with what's her name? What's her name? It's so many, so many. So most of all the musicians who played with me want to do something big, which is fantastic. I'm very proud to be part of that. You know.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, you're really an innovator because now it's pretty common to see Gnawa musicians playing with with other musicians from other genres, and the festival in Essaouira. There's a lot of fusion, but you were it really seems like you were the first person who did that. Did
I got a chance because I'm in America and I had the chance to travel all over the world. Easier for me than if I was living in Morocco. We're not going to be easy, but because of America, and then you have your now citizenship, so you just go anywhere you want without a visa. So that's another opportunity. In Morocco, it's not that easy to get people out, but I gotta give it up to also Mustafa Bakbou. Uh, have done great job with working also with some kind of fusion musicians, especially in Holland. He was in Holland, there for
mm,
a short period of time, and then Mahmoud Guinea also did like some couple of things within Morocco, kind of a mostly fusion in Morocco, and then he went on to work with some European. Yeah.
one question I wanted to ask you was so Gnawa music is religious music, it's praise music and healing music. What are your feelings about taking the songs out of the ceremonial context and playing them in a like a commercial popular format? Is how do you find that you have to negotiate how you would play if you were whole, doing a lila versus playing for an audience? I mean, how do you navigate working with the spirits depending on what context you're playing in?
Well, the number one is the respect, because there is certain songs that, especially you don't touch, and especially in Ramadan during the fasting, the whole month of Ramadan, I will not play certain song until Ramadan is till the 27th of Ramadan. But going back into where what I've done with the music of the Gnawa, the mixing with reggae, funk, rap, all kind of style of music.
Oh, I think we lost Hassan. Live Zoom. Well, I'm going to take this opportunity to share a video of Hassan playing with Club Delph. Hassan,
Yes.
you're back.
Yeah, I didn't know that I didn't have my powers on the computer died. I didn't know it was unplugged.
You never know. So,
Yeah. Sorry about that.
so we were talking about the difference between playing the music in front of a commercial audience versus
Yeah.
playing in a lila. Can you talk a little bit about that? How you approach it differently?
Yeah. What happened is the differences between the leader. It's completely different. There's so much respect into the leader compares to the flexibility of playing in a festivals or a show or something like that. So the leader, it's completely let's say it's a step by step, and you can't skip a stairs. You have to follow exactly the rules. But on the performances with with the group, like fusion and so, you cooperate. You choose what you want to do and when and how. Not like Lee. So that's the difference.
Mm. I had a question about the one of the spirits that I'm really fascinated with is Aisha, and
Yes.
we perform when we performed with you with Club Delft, we've played that song before, and there seems to be some disagreement about was Aisha a historical figure? There's some people say she was a woman whose husband was killed by the Portuguese in the 15th century. Others say, you know, she was a spirit coming from the West African pantheon. What are your feelings on that?
Oh man, see when you start to hear different story, for example, it's one color, it's dark or black, and then people can see it in different color, but it's only one. You hear so many stories from different people, and they have their own descriptions or vision of what it is. It's a little bit kind of crazy, but Aisha, yes, it is a woman, but she's a spirit. I I don't see it. It's a human. It's a spirit that comes in at certain time at night. She lives in the river, and she comes at night, like a woman. But they said her foot. She has like a camel toe in her foot. That's how you recognize that was Aisha. Some people they say they have met her, and their life was never the same from there. So I have a lot of respect for Aisha.
And that was originally not part of the Gnawa Lila. That was brought from the Hamdouchia tradition.
Oh yeah, Dushi has because in Morocco there is so many different kind of traditions. Sufi tradition that has some of them has maybe few songs that comes from related to one another. Because Hamacha and Isawa and Darqawa and Hittawa, they have a lot in common when it comes into the music. For example, Isawa, they may have some of the Gnawa song within Isawa. And then Aisha, it's been imported, like, came in from Isawa into the Gnawa, you And that's what it is. Even the singing, there is two different Aisha within the Gnawa.
Thanks for talking about that. Some people are asking some questions in the Q&A. I'm just going to go to a couple of those. Um, actually, my sister Melissa, you might remember,
Of course, my sister Melissa.
she's asking, how does one
Hi.
She asks, how does one come to be considered a master in the Gnawa tradition? And are
Well,
as many women masters as men?
well, there used to be not many, because without the women, we would not be Gnawa music in Morocco. The women is the foundations of the Gnawa music. They are the one who's actually put the Gnawa music up. Without them, it would be no music. So they are the lovers and the sponsors of the Gnawa music. Period. That's number one. But there's some of them they used to play sintir, but not many. Few, you might find four or five in the country. Right now, that changed. So I was the first to go to Morocco and actually brought the women to actually make a music, CD of the Gnawa with me, and in that in that start to generate the vibe, and now we have girls all over the country on actually picking up this instrument and singing, and to become a master of the Gnawa, you have to actually know the whole seven colors, and each colors of the spirit has a sections of the songs, of the songs of the music, and each color has its own representations of songs that goes with that color. So that's seven spirits, seven colors, and we call it seven mahalla, which is seven steps. So when you master all those, it's around about close to 170 songs. You learn all of those songs and you perform them all night long. Then the women who actually invited you, the master of the lila, she will actually recognize you that you are a master. And the word goes around, and there you have it.
Great. What do you think? Do you want to maybe play another song?
Yes.
Play some more music?
يا رجال الله يا لومي هذا حالي يا الباب الله يا سيدي سيدي ميموني يا لومي ويا رجال الله انا ويني يا دواني يا دواني هذا حالي يا لومي ما ندي ولي سيدي هذا حالي ويا الباب الله أمولانا وأمولانا يا أمولانا سيدي ميموني يا لغمي إن شاء الله.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
I love the. There's a very dramatic shadow behind you. It's
That's
very.
my spirit, I'm telling you, it's coming out.
Can you just adjust your adjust the screen slightly so we can see more of the instrument when you're playing?
Yes, hold on a second. How about that?
That's
Can you see it?
yeah, that's great. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the instrument and some of the innovations that it seems like you brought them about. I think maybe you were the first person to put tuners on the Sintir,
Definitely, yes.
and because when I watched that '89 video from Night Music, you still had the straps. You hadn't actually gone to the tuners yet.
No, wait, wait. If you see in the 80s, yes, 80, 89 or 88 or so, I had a Fender bass from the 70s, but I didn't know the value of that bass. But I cut actually the neck and put it into my sintir, and I used the bass neck on the sintir. That was the first idea before that. So I had actually, if you look, there is somewhere on online, you can see my a picture of me. I actually, when I was touring in the 90s also with Peter Gabriel, I had that Centurion with the Fender neck on my instrument. Just the top where the mechanics are.
Yes, I saw a video with that. It's
Yeah, there is a video actually from real world.
and
That was the first time. That was the first time with the tuning.
yeah, so you introduced the tuners on the instrument,
Yeah,
maybe the first pickup on the instrument because
and
you
the pickups. Yes,
amplified
yes,
early on, and then using nylon strings,
yeah.
a lot of innovation.
Well, I used to have actually 8 pickups on the instrument. Eight. I had I had actually it's exactly like the guitar. I used to have the volumes on the centers here and on top. Each volume different pickups in different part of the instrument. I was in Brazil, so I bought a lot of pickup and I started making holes on the instrument, experimenting. you know.
You were talking about making one with a retractable neck for traveling. Did that ever happen?
Done that. Yeah. Uh, it was an idea of having an umbrella when you put the umbrella goes up underneath it. I've done it, and I made one actually from copper, the whole instrument. But when I came on the plane, I have to check it. So I came back to the New York. That the whole thing was broke apart. So I have it in the garage. Never used it. I spent a lot. One of the most expensive chair I made, but I never got a chance to play it. So it's actually I might have to take it back to Morocco to restore it. Yeah.
I'm just going to go to the Q&A and see what people are asking.
Yeah.
Someone is asking if you would talk more about the experience of music as color.
The about the colors.
Yeah, I think that's what they were referring to.
Can it be any specification or just want me to talk?
Yeah, I mean, maybe talk about like CD Musa being blue, and what.
Oh, okay, okay. Then yeah, yeah. Okay. For example, when you start the ceremony, before you get to the colors, you do like Gnawa they will do a warm up, which is Ulad Bambara and Negsha, and after that, then the color ceremony started, and it started with weights. And each like steps where and Mahalla mean is of the ceremony, it has its own color. So like for example, Sidi Musa is blue and it's related to the ocean, water. That's what Musa is about. So we have the saint called Sidi Musa in Marrakesh. I mean, in Seli, in Sela, which is the neighbors of Rabat. And then you have red. So we got Sidi Hamu, Sidi Kumwi, and it's all about blood. And perform like cutting yourself up with with the knife, and the blood comes in, that kind of thing. So that's what red is about, representing the blood. Uh, then you have the black, which there's two different separate parts of the colors of the black that represent Ulad al means the children of the forest. Those are the last color black, and that's what also Aisha comes along. And then you got another black, which it's um, Marhaba, and also you have Lughmami, Those are separate from the other black. The children of the forest is different from Logmami, and it's two different color. Like it's the same black and black, but they are in different steps of the ceremony, and they're not related in the ceremony. Then you have then you have another blue. So there is a light blue and there is sky blue. So sky blue, it's talking about the sky. So you sing Samawi. Sama means sky. So then you sing about the spirit of the sky. Then you have the green. You know, so green has a lot of saints like Mullah Ibrahim and Saint Mullah Ibrahim and Saint Mullah Abdullah bin Hussein, and it goes on. Uh, and then you have the yellow represents the women, saint, and you have the orange, also women, spirits. And then you have also one color. I mean, one spirit that represents all colors in one spirit. So what happens? You will have a costume that made up of pieces of different colors. So we call it Budrbela, and that's also one spirit within the white from the beginning of the ceremony.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
The record that really got me turned on to Gnawa music was your record "Gift of the Gnawa" that you did with Adam Rudolph.
Yeah.
Um, my friend Mark Sandman turned me on to that, and it still blows me away every time I hear it. And I'm curious, what was it like for you working with Don Cherry and Richard Horowitz was on that record as well? Did you all record live together? How was did that come together?
You know, that was in 1987 when we met and we did the recording in '88. Uh, it was amazing because I never played with Don or Adam Rudolph, so we were connected through world music. Here we go again. We gotta go back always to world music. I think Robert Bronny sent my information to Adam and told him you gotta check this guy from Morocco. You guys might do something together. So Adam called me to collaborate and make an album. Uh, Once there was also it's amazing when we connected musically, but there were some language barrier at the time, for me, and I got to trust Adam. I haven't trusted a lot of people. I couldn't collaborate with so many like Ginger Baker. I went to the studio to do something with him, but it didn't work out. I wasn't comfortable. So that's another thing. And so many other musicians, but with Adam was really different. We were both young, and he says I work with this great musician Don Cherry. So we met at the studio in Brooklyn. We actually played live, no rehearsal, nothing. Don Cherry picked up his trumpet, his pocket trumpet, and started playing on top of what we're doing. And the same thing with Richard. What Richard know me since I was 6 or 7, so he knows me back in Morocco. Richard, we have a history together. But with Don Cherry, it's an incredible angel, amazing, talented musician. It's a blessing. And that album, The Gift of the Gnawa, was in chart in Billboard Music, which actually passed, you know, Bob Marley's One Love. When that album, Bob Marley was like number 13, but The Gift of the Gnawa was like number 3 or 4, something like that. And I was like, what? What's going on? And Frank Zappa was in that chart, and so many. But our album, that it was all over the place, like on chart. And everybody until today has to tell me what brought them into the Gnawa. It was The Gift of the Gnawa, in Europe, all over the world. So yeah, that's a special album, man.
Yeah, it's an amazing record,
Yeah,
and
it was no communication. It was no, like, I couldn't even communicate with them. We just have to play, you know. That's what it is.
It's got a beautiful vibe. So we're going to go to a couple more questions from people, and if anybody watching has any questions, just let us know in the Q&A. Are there artists that you've not collaborated with yet that you would like to?
Yeah. Uh, I was a big fan of Michael Jackson because we're not that far apart in age. He's 5 year older than me. I admired his stories and his talents, and I want to meet him. And that I couldn't do that. I definitely met Stevie Wonder and a few times come to the show in California in 1994. I I don't know, man. Who I want to collaborate with when I didn't. Man, I think I'm really satisfied with my life and what I have done, and so I'm really good either way. Uh,
You've
you know,
had some amazing collaborations. I mean, Peter Gabriel, Kronos Quartet,
yeah.
Ch-
Kronos Quartet is. I wrote a song for them. It was number one on classical music and Billboard for 37 weeks. And that song actually had orchestra from all over the world, like in England, in Australia, all over. They want me to symphonies. They want me to write a symphony for them, which I couldn't do that. It was tough, but they just love the collaborations I've done with the Kronos Quartet. That's another thing.
take another question from the audience. Um, Aside from sound, are there any other sensory aspects central to Gnawa?
Like, like what? Help me out here.
I don't know. Maybe we'll try.
Is that a question from the audience or?
Yeah, that was somebody asking.
Okay, can you say that again?
Aside from sound, are there any other sensory aspects central to Gnawa?
Like when you say century meanings, how
Touch, taste.
oh, well, all I could tell you, this music, man, it really helped me go on with my life. It really saved me in a lot of different ways. This music is so powerful, and when you get to surrender to it, you will learn so much from it, and it will definitely direct you into the highest ground. This music is just unbelievable, incredible blessing that I would not want, if I was born again, I would not want my life to change from what I experienced with this music. That's how good it is.
Yeah, I think I would like to bring Brahim Fribgan's name into the conversation because he's the person responsible for my connection with you.
Yeah,
Brahim and I started playing together in '99, and shortly after he introduced me to you. And I think I met you at the Chelsea Market at Mohammed's place.
yeah,
There was an event there, and I've heard you in so many different contexts, and I have to say one of my favorite contexts that I've heard you in is when you play duet with Brahim, and it's so intimate, and the sound of the oud and the sintir together, and the way that you speak together, it's pretty special. I hope you guys get to do some more of that.
yeah. I think I met Brahim. I think he came in 1990 to the States, and there was a big celebration of Moroccan uh, holiday, which is the king's birthday, in 1990. And it was in March. And I came in, I saw this guy who was very young, and he was playing Doombek. So I started talking to him, and I was like, I would like to use a percussionist. And then he mentioned he plays guitar, and I was like, well, I gotta hear you. So he came into my house, and I heard him. I bought him a guitar, his first guitar. It was a Fender. And then he started working with me, and then I put him in the band, and we become good friends from there. And I think he's like part of me. Brahim knows me well musically and personally. So It's a beautiful thing.
Special dude.
Yeah.
There's a couple of other questions. What other instruments are involved in the Gnawa tradition?
Tradition is actually the sentir, awisha, which is khalam, and then karkaba, it's called goro, used to be from wood, now it's metal. And then you have the, we called ganga, which is to pull the big drums, and not a hand drums, it's actually with the stick, two sticks. And in the north of Morocco, in the south, they use this sticks, and then in the north they use a stick and a hand, the same gnawa but they're completely different style, meaning Tangiers and the surrounding area. So it's gnawa, it's sentir, karkaba, and drums. Those are the instruments, nothing else. So whatever you see, it's being added.
Right. And someone else is asking if you could speak about a little bit about the history of the Gnawa and where the Gnawa originate from.
You know, it's very interesting. Anytime you ask about history, people has different, stories about the history of the Gnawa. But I would say it goes back into the time of the Prophet Muhammad. Uh, there is a person by the name of Sayyidina Bilal, which is actually the first muddin, the person who called for the prayer in Islamic history, and he used to be a slave. He was the first black person to be freed by the Prophet Muhammad in Islamic, region, timing. And this person has wonderful voice, and he used to play. He used to actually has a very beautiful voice. His origin is from Habasha or Sudan. He's now around the Sudan and Ethiopia in that area. So when you go back into the Gnawa, that's the history. It comes from that area, and then it cross from to West Africa, from east to west, and then it to north. By the time it comes into the north, it's about around 500-600 years ago. So that's the directions of the story on the history of where the Gnawa come from. But like I said, it goes back into the time of the Prophet Muhammad. You know,
How did you, when you were so young, starting at 14, how did you negotiate trance? 'Cause that's one of the aspects of this music that's really drawn me so much, and it's it's very contrary to a lot of elements in our culture. And there was one. Do you remember back in 2014 we played at the Mimuna Festival at Harvard?
yeah.
And there was an audience member who went into trance, and the security people didn't know how to deal with it. They, they were pretty freaked out.
Well,
And
I've seen so much as a kid growing up with the music. Trance, it has no control. You can't control yourself when you go into trance, and you will not know what you're doing until after the fact. I've seen people jump from the second floor down to the ground where the music is going, and then after that, nothing happened to them. That means they have the spirit. Their spirits protect them from hurting themselves. I've seen people eat glass. I've seen people cut themselves with swords, knives, all these kind of things, and no blood. I've seen people pretending to use the knife to pretend that they can cut themselves when they end up in the hospital. So you can tell that you can't play games with the spirit. I was a kid. I want to cut myself. Even though as a kid, I want that to have that kind of gift and that power. I tried. I started bleeding. I stayed away from it. I know I don't have that gift. My mom does. So certain things as a kid, I tried to learn and try, and I sticked with what I got, far as what I been given as a gift, which is to perform for others to go to trance.
there's one other question. Actually, I wanted to ask you, Hassan, do you have any projects or any anything you'd like to plug, or anything you're working on that you want people to know about?
Yeah, well, I'm actually right now, there's so many things, but as of like few days ago, I started trying to talk in collaborations with a group. One of the group members in Morocco, they're very known around the world, especially in the Arab and Muslim world. The group is called Fnaya, so one members of them, Khalifa. We're talking of doing some collaborating, so I'm working on something for that. It's like the Gnawa with trap music, not rap, trap.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing and it's it's gonna take some times.
So I think we're actually kind of running out of time. Where does the time go? Do you feel like maybe taking us out with another song? Do you
I
want
think you will go for that. Let's you play a song.
to?
No,
No.
seriously, I have some. You have done so much for the Gnawa yourself, and representing the Gnawa as an American musicians, and I have so much respect for you and what you do, and I give the people to hear something, brother, from you.
That means a lot to me. I really appreciate that. But
Man, yeah, man, you have a big heart, and I love that about you, and I think the Spirit has brought us together because of your generosity and what you do, and
thank you,
just thank you.
thank you. Much love.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm
play.
not really set up to play, and you've got the instrument in front of you. So let's just take it out with you doing one more song. Thank you.
Yes, my brother. لا إله إلا الله يا المعبود الله. لا إله إلا الله يا الكريم الله. ويا لا إله إلا الله وما معه الوحيد الله. يا منادى من يا بابا يا بابا الحبيب. يا سيدي علان الله دايما بابا علان. يا مولانا من الله دايم ويا سيدي علان. يا بابا الحبيب بابا بابا مولانا من سيدي سيدي اللي ما نحملوش. اوه يا راس الروس ويا بابا سيدي يا مولانا من. الله دايما يا كريم الله دايما يا مولانا الله دايما يا للعيشة الله دايما محبوب الله يا كريم الله يا سيدي علام. Zallah.
Shukran. Thank you for
Thank
playing
you.
Aisha. I love that.
Wallah.
Thank you, Hassan.
Yes, yes. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here.
Forward to seeing
Thank you so much. Thank you both. You know, Mike, thank you, Hassan. I mean, what a great way to end this session. It was quite remarkable and so inspiring as well. And we cannot thank you enough. And we do appreciate this long friendship and relationship with between you and World Music Institute. And we can't wait to have you again live, you know, on stage. And we want to thank everybody who joined us for this presentation and wish you a great rest of the evening and look forward to seeing you at another event.
And
Thank you so
everybody
much.
stay safe out there. Stay safe.
Yep. Everybody stay safe, stay masked up, keep your
That's it.
distance. We'll get through this. Thank you. Thanks for joining.
That's it. Bye bye.